Okay. I'm recording too. I got a recording device on mine.
I've been wanting to buy one of those.
The Plod.
Are they good?
Oh yeah, I love it.
Yeah?
Yeah, it gets my phone calls. It gets everything. Yeah, it's really good.
Good to know.
All right, you guys ready to do with episode number 1? All right, let's have fun with this. All right,
So,
good to go. Ready?
yeah,
Andres,
ready.
let's
Let's
do
go.
this. Welcome to the show, everybody. Got a whole squad supporting us. My name is Brian Sparks, and welcome to STAK Ventures Podcast, where founders, investors, and innovators come together to explore what it really takes to build and scale great companies. And many of you are probably thinking, well, Brian, what happened to Silicon Valley Impact? Silicon Valley Impact is alive and well and thriving. There's a little difference to this twist. Number one, we're bringing in a lot of people from the East Bay. There's a lot of great companies that have trouble getting down because those founders are really busy getting down to the South Bay. And so we have set up shop here at STAK Ventures, and we are focusing on topics of interest. So we're going to unpack different topics so that our audience can have some takeaways. But you're going to hear a lot of things that are familiar from Silicon Valley Impact. Like number one, I don't do bio. So Andres, I let you know, I warned you that you're going to give your own bio. But for those of you who are meeting you for the first time, go ahead and give yourself a little bio and introduce yourself to our audience.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brian, for having me. And hello to everyone in the audience. My name is Andres Campo. I've been an entrepreneur for the past 10 years, roughly. I started out my career in EdTech. That's the first startups that I kind of built. Then I transitioned towards venture capital and building acceleration programs, incubation programs. I also did some teaching as well for 6 years, was part of faculty of the Rotterdam Business School out of the Netherlands. And right now I'm fully focused on longevity and building pretty much the next wave of healthcare for LATAM. So yeah, that's what I'm focused on, and I'm love to get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. So you said your company is Humanolab.
Humanolab, yeah.
Humanolab. So give us a quick overview of what problem you're solving and what is the solution that you're bringing to market.
Yeah, so Humanolab, we do precision medicine, preventive and proactive medicine. What's currently happening in healthcare in Latin America is that people don't have access to quality diagnostics. So when they find out that they are sick, it's way too late, and they already develop a chronic disease. We want to get in years before that, so we can do something that I call predictive healthcare, where we can actually look at what's happening with people's body, look at their genetics, look at their blood, their microbiome, and then figure out what is going wrong or what could go wrong so we can intervene really, really early.
And what big problem? I mean, I've not done a lot of research into biotech. I mean, I did do my time in biotech. Worked at an incubator years ago.
Yeah.
But what is the big gnarly problem that you're solving?
Yeah, the big gnarly problem is 4 out of 5 people in LATAM currently die from chronic diseases. And that's something that really keeps me up at night when you understand that 80% of these deaths are preventable. But the only reason why we're not preventing them is because we don't have access to the right diagnostics at the right time. And that's essentially what we're building and bringing to market, so people can test their blood, their genetics, understand what could go wrong so they can intervene. Not when they're 50 or 60, but when they can do it when they're 20, 30, and really get ahead of it years before that.
That I get it. I can feel it. And so I want to let our audience also know, is you're probably thinking, well, okay, you have a founder on the show, a lot of experience, has great insight, but ideally for you in the audience, for those who are looking to start a company yourself, everyone does it a little bit different. I often see and say, startup is like a chess game. That every board has the same piece, and you got to learn how those pieces move. You got to have that. Ideally, you got to have that piece on the board. And so, those of you who are founders out there, you got to know how these pieces operate, the pieces of your startup. Then comes the strategy, and I want to geek out on the strategy. There are areas of expertise that you bring, and again, with your multiple experiences in the I call it the sandbox, right? Playing this game. You bring a unique perspective. Is this your first startup?
No, this is my third startup. The
Uh-huh.
first one got acquired by Pigma, which is the fund that I later ran, an accelerator that I scaled in LATAM. And I love that, man. I would love to chat about 0 to 1,
Mm,
-1 to 0. Like, that's where I've gotten my hands really dirty,
yeah.
supporting hundreds of founders at this point doing that.
And so one thing I often really push for founders is to have a bootstrapping strategy.
Yeah.
And that bootstrapping strategy often allows you to test the market,
Mhm.
find your ideal customer, get traction, and see if this is actually a venture scale startup.
Yeah.
What was kind of your early strategy?
Yeah, I think there's two ways to build a business and approach it. So
Mhm,
one of them is for sure going to market as quickly as possible, bootstrap it, see if there's demand and product. Personally, that's what I did.
mhm,
So with Humanolab, what we did is that we launched a premium healthcare program where we charge a high ticket fee
mhm.
just to test the waters and understand what will it take to scale this. And then from there, we started thinking about venture capital to do scale, but not the other way around.
So let me clarify that a little bit for our audience because I want to start hacking your strategy because you've done real well. This is your third company.
Yeah.
What was the purpose of build? You're about ready to tell me the purpose of the program, but what is your thinking in providing a program
Hmm.
rather than just saying, "Hey, running out and sell"? What
Hmm.
were you thinking in doing kind of this off idea of educating the market first? What were you thinking?
I think there's a couple of advices that you hear quite often, and people don't really like make sense of them. So one of them is do things that don't scale. You've heard that before from Paul Graham from
Hmm.
YC.
Hmm.
Um, what you want to do there is you want to prove that there is demand and you want to be able to service that demand really quickly without complicating things. Sometimes when you think about scale, you're so worried about scale that you don't even think about the first pull on market demand and whether this actually is valuable, whether you can sell it, whether you can actually find the ICP.
Hmm.
So that's why I really love that as advice of do things that don't scale. Um, and it pretty much also goes with that mindset of put something together that not doesn't necessarily need tech initially, so
Hmm.
you can learn as much as possible.
So define program then,
Yeah,
because I get what you're saying. Like I feel it,
yeah,
but I really want our audience to be able to take it and wear it
yeah,
themselves. Like, what does that mean for them? So when you said program,
yeah.
because again, you're in the process of building the company now, you're often running, but looking back, what does that mean? Program?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you the contrast of what we do today versus what we did at the beginning,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that really helps. So today we have a platform where you can book exams, and it has a login process. You can do it. You don't have to talk to any human,
Hmm.
and then you go, you get your blood drawn, then you see the results in the platform. 10 days later, AI analyzes it. You don't interact with any humans in the process. You get the value fully from the platform. The way we started was you have to talk to a doctor. You gotta get, pretty much advice on what type of blood test you will get.
Hmm.
Then the process will be very manual. We will support you through phone calls, video calls. Once the results came back, no AI was analyzing it. It was a doctor that was giving you like the protocol that you would, use to improve your health. So we went from something that was purely manual, will take us per customer hours to do, to something that now people can do at scale themselves.
Mm.
That's what I mean by doing things that don't scale.
Okay, I love it. And so again, let's go back. You said your sweet spot is 0 to 1.
Yeah,
So you create this program, you start educating the market, you're engaging the market early. And again,
yeah,
for those of you who are listening, going to a VC right away to find validation or right away looking to sell something
yeah,
right away is great validation. Obviously, if you can sell it right away, great job. If you can get venture capital, great job. But there's so many different other motions that you need to take in order to find validation. And that's what we're trying to do here. So talk a little bit about your experience with 0 to 1 and why is this so important for early strategic founders to think about? And why is this kind of like your sweet spot? Why does it have you geeking out?
So 0 to 1, everyone has to go through it. There's different ways to go about it. Like I said, there's 2 ways to build a company. You can bootstrap it and then later scale it with venture capital.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that you see founders doing is that they directly go with a big vision and very ambitious goal mission, and then they're able to turn that into a narrative that gets VCs excited.
Mm-hmm.
But not everyone actually will be a right fit to go on that path, because it also depends on the person that you are, your credentials. That plays a really, really big role. So 0 to 1 is figuring out, how do you want to do it, right? Do you want to take the VC path right away, or do you want to bootstrap forever, or bootstrap and then scale like I did? But you cannot escape 0 to 1.
Yeah.
What's important with 0 to 1 is that, once again, you try to do things manually. You try to learn as much as possible from the value proposition without complicating things, and just thinking, can this work for one person? Can it work for 10? Can it work for 100? And then once you're past that threshold of 100, then you can really think about scale. And I think even if you get venture capital or not, it's going to feel very, very similar.
So let's think about the first 100. Now, a lot of times investors will say, well, is this all founder-led sales, right? This is all. What are some other ways other than founder-led sales are good ways to get that first 100 that will be long-term adopters?
At 0 to 1, you can't escape. You can't escape founders-led sale. So you either do that or you do community-driven.
There we go. Yeah.
So either you got people coming to you because you built an audience, which again, it's you've seen this model work recently a lot, and a lot of people swear by it. You can also do just like founders sales growth and just like push through the wall. Those are the 2 things that you can pretty much do at 0 to 1.
Yeah.
But don't skip that. Like the mistake I see a lot of founders do is getting a sales team, outsourcing sales. You should not outsource sales, because that's where you actually find out whether your value proposition makes sense. And people actually are, they actually want to buy it, whether it makes sense for them or not. So that's how I see it.
All right. So we're geeking out early. We're going to come back a little bit more to this 0 to 1, but I got to ask you, let's go back.
Yeah.
I mean, third company, you were involved in, building the accelerator. You've been on the VC side. What got you into this? Like what draw you into, entrepreneurship? Was it, a family member, a mentor? You had enough at corporate America or wherever corporate you're from, right? Corporate South America, wherever. What really pulled you in and helped you stay involved? And of course, I'm going to ask the ultimate question, why you love doing what you're doing. But where did it all begin for you?
So I got introduced to the startup ecosystem through Techstars. Techstars, they used to do this thing. I think they still do it, which is a startup weekend. And they used to host these hackathons. And I just became addicted with the idea of helping founders and like building communities and ecosystems around founders. So started hosting a startup weekend, supporting Techstars. And at some point I thought, there is no online incubation program. There is just maybe 1 or 2 that you can point towards. This is back in 2018.
Okay, so let me back this up. So you got a job with Techstars, right? You got involved.
Not a job. I was involved in their community, hosting it.
Okay. And that's where you caught the bug.
Yeah.
You start building. You're like, oh, wait, there's something that I can do.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when I realized most incubation programs happen offline. And it's a pain in the butt. Sometimes you cannot move cities. Sometimes it's not right for you because you cannot go full time.
Yeah.
So I built one of the first online programs in Europe that you could take online.
Okay, can I say this? I got to flag this for our audience, what you just did there. Okay, so you're involved in this community. And so those of you who are listening who may be thinking of making the leap from your jobs to a startup, it sounds like you took on the entrepreneur role. Like you were tasked with running the events, building communities, whatever it may be. And then you saw a gap.
Yeah.
And so if you are listening right now and you see a gap where you're at, you pretty much know you have the bug already. You're solving problems. You're not just coming up with good ideas. You're solving problems. You see the gap. So I love that you shared that. So sorry, I had to point out for our audience, because there's a lot of people who get stuck and they get in this rhythm of holding on to their job, going to events, and you see them doing that for years. They don't make the leap. All right, go ahead, pick up. So you started scaling with the accelerator.
Yeah, so I launched one of the first online programs in Europe for founders just to do education.
Mhm.
So I used to call it a startup university pretty much. And we hosted nearly 8 cohorts doing that. And at some point, I connected with a founder that was doing the same out of Latin America,
Mhm.
but he was a little bit further down. And what we pretty much did was we did an acqui-hire where he brought me into the team and we started scaling what is now known as Pigma. Pigma has become one of the largest incubators in Latin America. 150 companies have gone through Pigma. Right now, they're really focused on fintech and AI. And we've helped these companies raise $50 million of venture capital, connecting the US ecosystem with the ecosystem in Latin America. And I operated the first 5 acceleration programs from Pigma and did that for about 2 years. Raised the first fund together with them, and then I stepped out to build this longevity company. So that's a little bit of the boom, boom, boom story.
That's the resume headline parts, right?
Yeah.
So you had all these wins, but along the way, there was probably a lot more failures than there was wins.
Yeah.
I mean, wow, you really filled out again the resume. Let's talk about what it took to build those things, because with learning to bootstrap as a founder, you probably took a lot of that experience with you, building community, building trust, obviously raising. What was kind of your strategy in order to scaling this type of attention, I guess you would say, respect and community? And share with our audience where it all began. Like, how did you start thinking in terms of building trust?
Yeah. So when we started Pigma, and I think I want to invite founders to think about this, a lot of the job of an entrepreneur is right product, right time, right market. And if you get those 3 things right, then things are going to start picking up from there.
Okay, right product, right time,
right market.
Right market.
And that's what we had with Pigma. So in LATAM at that point in time, there was not a lot of support for founders. And a lot of founders were applied to YC or 500 startups. And, they can only service so many founders, but there's thousands of other teams that don't get support. And that's when we came in, right time, right product, right market, because LATAM was not getting service at that point in time. And we did that in late 2021. And then from there, things started to pick up. So just make sure, I think also a little bit of on a side note, the biggest issue right now, Brian, is not how to build it, how to scale, it's what to build. Because with AI, you can do so much so quickly. So thinking that right product, right time, right market, it's key nowadays. And that's what I experienced with Pigma. When we launched, we got a pull immediately from the market and you can feel product market fit. And we went really quickly from servicing a couple of countries to then having startups in 17 different countries.
So we need to say that a little bit extra louder for our audience, because a lot of times the founder thinks they have the right product. I mean, they're just in love with their product, but they're not getting that pull from the market. And I see people founders running around for years trying to sell their product, but they don't have the right market fit. And we'll ask, even when I was a part of Bay Angels, or I'm sitting on a panel from time to time, why has it taken you so long to get traction? And there's always this excuse, but usually when you start doing your diligence on it, you can see that there was a poor market fit.
Yeah.
Talk a little to our audience about finding that right market fit and getting that pull. How did you find it so well?
Yeah, so this is key, Brian. Of course, I'm talking about the 3 businesses that worked out. I could also talk about the other 10 that didn't. And with product and the market pool, you feel it immediately when you have it, yes or no. And it's okay to not have it at first and iterate and just kind of like find out what's the actual product. But if you don't see that signal in, a time frame, like you got to be logical about this. You cannot fall in love with whatever product you have.
Say it again. You can't fall. We'll say it together. Everybody at once. Yeah, go ahead.
You can't fall in love with your product and your solution. So try to iterate and yourself, time it. Hey, am I going to do this for 2 months to see if it works?
Yeah.
But once it does work, you will feel it really quickly, because I've been on the other side where I spent years or maybe a year and a half in a product that took 4 to 5 different pivots and we just could not crack it. And then I decided to shut down that company.
Yeah.
But when you're going to feel it really quickly. So I want to invite founders as well. Don't be delusional, right? So like if you don't see that pull, either pivot or find a different angle, but don't sit on it and don't think it's something external. Like, no, I need to raise venture capital and then it will work.
Oh, that's so good.
That's actually not how it works.
So one thing that I notice about you, and I want to highlight what you do well, because there may be a very high unconscious competence. You may be aware of it. I don't know if you're trying to, but what I'm saying here is a lot of founders underestimate their capacity to communicate to the market, to communicate. And so you're clearly, you got great communication skills. You're good at, you said you did some teaching in your history. And as a founder, your responsibility is to educate the market. And if you don't have the students / customers staying in the room, then your delivery may need to be worked on. Your messaging may need to be worked on. What have you done? I mean, obviously you have the teacher pass, but what have you done to enhance your ability to communicate with others?
I love that you touched on that, because I think before you reach product market fit, the first thing that you reach is message market fit. So what you actually want to try it out very, very early on is, am I saying the right thing? People underestimate how important copy and marketing is. By copy, I mean the things that you write down in your website, in your landing page, in your offering. A single word could make a total difference on your offering. So finding what do I need to say first and say it concretely to the person that needs to hear that message. To me, that's step number one, even before even building any sort of product, because that's how you know, oh, there's demand for this. So that's something that we actually did with what we do right now in Humanolab. We started communicating, is there an appetite for longevity? It's a new word in Latin America. Longevity is trendy right now here in the US, but for LATAM is very new. And we went out and tested that thesis and started talking about longevity, preventive healthcare, precision medicine, proactive. And then when we knew, like, okay, what was getting pulled, we doubled down on that and we built the product around that message.
I love that. And I want to add a little something to it. This is where I believe that empathy for the pain that people are experiencing is so important, because you tailor that messaging, that message market fit, I think is what you called it, to people's pain. You're not going out and pontificating about all the features about what you've built, and you're just completely leaping over people's pain. And I think that goes to what you were saying with timing, market. What was the third one? Cheat sheet.
Product time.
Yeah. So product, timing, market. Yeah. And I think empathy towards your market, if you don't have it, everything else is going to slip. And I think that's where you've really excelled. I mean, I don't know, where does that come from? Did you have to work on that, or is that just something that's come natural to you?
Read books. Honestly, I read hundreds of books on the topic. I feel like every founder should get good at design. One of the skills that I developed early on when I was in my early 20s was design. Understanding how to design a product. Designing a product is about having empathy with the market, having empathy towards the customer, understanding what is the pain point.
Yeah.
I think great founders need to become good designers. And to me, that's where that skill came from. Just reading a lot, putting things into the market, and then trying to learn as much as possible from what you put out there.
Okay. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit more about what it takes to build a great company. We're going to talk a little bit about your venture experience. And then we're going to talk about the 3 takeaways about 0 to 1 that we touched on earlier in the remainder of the show. For right now, we're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back. STAK Ventures is transforming real estate into full stack ecosystem solutions for the East Bay residency and global startups, backed by Barrington Capital. Located in the heart of uptown Oakland at 1900 Broadway and 1950 Franklin, STAK Space has 2 towers and a data center with 1.5 million square feet of luxury living, event space, resort-style amenities, EV mobility, office space, and access to one of the biggest startup ecosystems in the Bay Area. Check out stakspace.com. That's STAK, stakspace.com for more information. We'll see you soon. All right, we're back for our second half. and we're doing a deep dive in what it takes to build a great startup. We're getting insights on 0 to 1, what the market looks like, what the timing and the product is, all the good stuff. So if you're listening to this, I would go back and listen to what Andres has said, because he has given some good keys to indicate how you get that early traction. We're going to talk a little bit about 0 to 1 and what our listeners can take away. But I want to also talk a little bit about your time in venture. And because a lot of our audience is our founders, give us really quick your experience from that side of the table. What does it look like to be a fundable company? And then what is it at that point, what does it look like? But as a founder, what does it feel like once you're ready to be fundable? Oh, I've never asked that question before. I'm interested to hear what you
I
have
love
to say.
this topic. I think before becoming a fundable company, you become a fundable founder, because especially a pre-seed and the very first checks that you're gonna get, it's all about you. They tell you all these things like, I would like to see more traction and maybe recruit a CTO. These are just things that they're saying to deflect the fact that they don't believe in you. And there is a reason why they don't believe in you. And it's your job to figure that out. Is it because this market doesn't resonate with my experience? Is it because my storytelling? Is it because of the way that I'm presenting myself? I think before your company is ready for venture, you need to be ready for venture, and then you can actually get there. So when you are in the other side chatting with investors, you start to understand how they feel and how they think about founders. And it's more emotional that you as a founder would like it to be. You think it's all about, oh, I got this growth and, we hit 100K or 1 million. They couldn't care less. If you hit 1 million or so, that it's important in a Series A, in a Series B. When we're talking pre-seed and seed, all they're looking at is the team. What are the signals that this team is going to be able to win? And are they saying the right things that make me think that they're ambitious enough to go after? Remember that venture capital is a game of outliers. So you need to be able to provide an insane outcome. And if you can't do that, if you can't communicate that, they're not going to get excited about you.
Yeah, I love that. I can't tell you how many times I've heard a panel give feedback to a founder, and they'll say something that's just like, wait, what? Why are you picking on? The truth of the matter is they don't like you. And it's not that you're not likable. It's just you didn't deliver the message with confidence. You didn't have that conviction. And really, when you said this piece about the emotion, a founder really needs to have a lot of passion. And they need to have passion about not only what they're building, but how they say it, so that with all the startups that come in front of a VC, everyone's in black and white until someone has that passion that communicates it effectively and they become in color. Now there's like all this color and this excitement. And you're absolutely right that a lot of people don't give the emotional side to it enough credit. They say, no, it's all about the numbers. Yeah, it does need some validation. But yet, if you as the individual don't have the color to make this company unique, they're going to pass on you.
100%.
Yeah.
So an advice for founders is do a lot of work on yourself. Work in yourself harder than you're working in your startup. Try to figure out what makes you investable, what makes you unique, what makes you stand out as a founder, and lean towards those skills and make sure that they're being amplified and that they're getting across to VCs. Because if you are hiding behind your startup and your metrics, you're not going to be successful, especially in pre-seed. Once again, Series A, Series B, different story. The business has to actually work somehow.
Yeah.
But I've seen even founders that they've not cracked it yet by Series A raise a round just because, again, strong conviction on the founder, ambitious, they've shown what they've learned. So work on yourself.
Yeah, it's one thing to be a creative and just splash paint on the wall, right? I mean, it's very abstract, but really I think what I'm hearing you say is, number one, you got to be able to create something, but you also got to create later on in the company structure. And that's what later stage companies needs is like, can you put everything into a system that now runs and expands and scales that'll be attractive to those investors. So you got to have both skill sets. You can't just be all energy without structure and structure with no energy or passion. So you really got to have that unique combo about that. I may have asked you this already, but again, you've been playing this, playing in the sandbox for a while from multiple perspectives. And if you already answered it already, go ahead, answer it again. But you love this. You love this. Tell me what it is about being in venture, being in, a founder, just playing in the Silicon Valley sandbox that you love so much.
There's nothing that fulfills me more than seeing people achieve their dreams,
Hmm.
right? And I think founders go out of their way to be delusional and build something that might or might not work. And they spend a bunch of their time and resources into this. And it could go right, it could go wrong. And I always wanted to help that type of people that they're putting everything on the line to make something work. And that's why I devoted 7 years of my career towards helping founders, especially early stage founders
Yeah.
that were missing foundations. The way that I always looked at Pigma, Build Up Camp, and everything that I did, even when I was teaching, because I was also teaching and building incubation programs at university level, was how can I provide the skills and the foundation to founders that lack it? Maybe
Hmm.
they don't have the right skills, right network. How can I build that? And then seeing them succeed really fulfill me. And then the transition now to building in healthcare has also been all about seeing people thrive in their health, which is very important to me in this new chapter of my life,
Yeah.
where I'm so worried about my health and improving the years that I have in me. It's not only about living longer, it's also about living a higher quality life. And that's why I've chosen healthcare, because I see a direct impact in the product that we put in the market and the outcomes in people's life.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's okay. You can kick it around a little
Okay.
bit there. So, I got to ask you, you taught a little bit. What was your subject of choice? Like, if you could kick off a lecture, where would you begin? What do you love talking about?
So I thought
Other than 0 to 1, we've already asked that, but up number
I
2.
taught for 6 years design thinking and product design. These were my topics of expertise, pretty much helping founders understand how to design products, how to put products out in the market, how to validate them really quick. And that's
So what's a framework? So again, if our audience is listening really quick, because you mentioned it before, design, right?
Yeah.
Product design, and but give us a little quick, 2-minute overview on what do you mean by design?
Everything that you see out in the market has followed the same pattern and framework that has been around for the past 60 to 70 years. And then people have called it lean startup or growth hacking, but it's pretty much the same. It's about testing hypotheses in the market. So the framework that I always default to is design thinking, which
Hmm.
is essentially thinking of steps. So number one, I need to understand the market empathy, right? The customer. What is the pain? Number two, you need to decide what is going to be your angle. Look, they might have 5 pains, but which one is the most painful
Hmm.
thing? And then this is a key thing that a lot of founders don't stop and think, and they think every pain is equal, and that's not right. There are pains that people are willing to live with, and there are other pains that people will pay a lot of money to get it solved immediately.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Those are the pains you want to go after, not the ones that people are okay with living, right? So that's the step number two, right? So understand the market, look at the pains and make a choice around what you want to target. Then you want to start thinking of, okay, what's the right solution for this? Get inspired, do market research, benchmark, and
Hmm.
always come with something unique. When you see the market going to the left, you want to go to the right or vice versa. What I mean by that is, don't copy a product in the market and then go from red to blue and say this is my solution. What you
Mm-hmm.
want to do is find a unique approach, a unique insight that already makes your company a little bit more defendable and your proposition more defendable, and you almost want to take sort of like an opinion in the market and say this is what will work.
Hmm.
That's what we did in Latam with longevity. So we saw some people making products that were accessible.
Hmm.
We said, no, we're not going to make it accessible. We're going to make it exclusive and expensive, because that's the way that we can get the most resources to build the best product that can later scale. It doesn't mean that I don't want everyone to have access to good health. It just means that you want to do something that's different in the market, radically differently. So that's step number three. And then step number four is to put something in the market super quick, prototype it, right? So, even fake that the product exists, put a landing page up and say, join waiting list,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And then after that, you learn from that process and you repeat the cycle. Hey, what did I learn? Do I need to go back and get more insights? if you look at entrepreneurship, it defaults to this process of understand the market, putting something in the market, looking at the data, what worked and what didn't, and then just doing it over and over again.
Yeah.
So that's the baseline to entrepreneurship.
Oh, I love that. I love hearing that. Just be a little messy at that point. Get it out there, serve it up, and see what comes back to you. Is there one more? Is there six steps? So there's 5.
Yeah.
So bottom line, get something out there. Know the market. I mean, that's what I'm hearing. But go back. Those of you who just heard that, go back and just ask yourself, am I hitting these marks as I go to market? Okay, so I got to, again, close up the loop on the 0 to 1. I know we talked about, the timing, the product, the market. Is there anything else top of mind for you when it comes to 0 to 1 from an investor's perspective that you want to see, or what a founder needs to do in terms of motions?
Yeah, I think focus on a thing that will make you look impressive or your company look impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Pick a single thing that you can deliver really fast and where you can get velocity and that you can scale quickly. That could be talking to 100 B2B clients to just find out insights. Okay, then I'm going to focus on insights.
Mm-hmm.
We spoke with 100 clients. This is the pain. If it's revenue, amazing. But where I see a lot of founders getting stuck is, I need to make money. Yes, you need to make money. But pre-seed is also, picking the right thing. Maybe it is new users. Maybe it is people that join your webinar, right? But you got to pick the thing that you actually have the most control on, that you can show impressive velocity, because everyone is actually excited about how fast you're going. And that's what's going to set you apart. So pick the right fast that you want to show to people.
Pick the right fast. Okay, I love that. So I got to ask you now a little bit about Humanolabs. What's next for you guys?
So we joined the residency.
And sorry, I pivoted so quickly there on that one. I kind of may have caught you off guard, but yeah, tell us a little bit what's next for you guys.
Yeah, so we just recently joined the residency. It's a hacker house backed by Sam Altman, and it's been a great environment for us to grow.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting access to great connections, people that come and give us feedback. What we wanted to do with this summer that we're spending here in SF was to understand how we can take our direct-to-consumer product from 200, 300 people, which is the people that we've serviced, to thousands of people in this next phase. So what we're doing right now is really focus on that scale, because we already did all the dirty work of understanding what it takes to scale and what are we actually scaling, what's worth scaling and what's not worth scaling. And that's essentially what we're here. And our next chapter is about hitting, I think about this in incrementals. 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000 customers. That's what we're focused on. Right now, we're looking at 1,000 and 10,000. That's the next milestone.
Oh, okay. I love it. And for those of you who don't know, I mean, obviously you and I are in front of the camera today, but we got a whole squad behind the camera. Can they hear you guys over there? I know you guys got a microphone.
I think so, yeah.
All right.
Hello.
Yeah, good to see. Well, I want to thank you introduce yourself to the audience so they know who's working behind the camera. And Jeff, make sure you get over near that.
Yeah,
too.
we got a team of 3 right now. So I'm Oliver, and I actually met Andres in 2018, 2019 at one of those startup weekends.
Yeah.
And I'm actually now working with them as a team member. And then Jeff is here.
Jeff, you got to come on, huddle up, guys. Get in there.
I'm Jeff. I just lead marketing for STAK and STAK Ventures. So this is our first podcast. Excited to be here.
Yeah, just happy to be on the team. Way to knock it out of the park, Jeff. Yeah, go ahead. Get on the mic there.
What's going on? I just got here. My name's Jason.
Yeah, so all these guys helping it out, making this possible. Olivier, but no, Oliver. You introduced yourself as Oliver, but you got an actually. Give the real name.
Yeah, so it's Olivier.
Okay.
I kind of switch it back and forth. I'm trying to stick with Olivier now, kind of more European, which is where I'm from.
Yeah, that's cool.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, congratulations also on graduating. You did.
Yeah.
Tell everyone what you were working on.
Yeah, so I'll put the camera on actually as well.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. 1 sec.
Show your face. Show the world who you are.
Yo.
To our millions and millions of fans. And when I say that, I mean my mom. So.
Yeah, well, she's a good fan too. But yeah, I graduated. I did my master's degree in AI. And in 2022, I was working as a UX designer at KLM, which is an airline. And then ChatGPT came out, and I was like, "This is the craziest thing I've ever seen."
Yeah. And
basically, just quit my job on the spot to go back to school. And Andres and I have been talking for a while. And he said, "Hey,
How'd you guys meet? You guys met where?
Startup Weekend. I was hosting
In
one of these
Rotterdam.
hackathons, and Oli back then had a really great idea.
Ollie.
Well, he was,
Like
I
it.
saw more talent in him, and I told him, I hate your idea, but you are gonna go places, and I want to invest time in you, and we've developed this great friendship.
And it's through because you love networking. You're good at it. You're at all the events. So those of you who are listening right now, if you're coming to Silicon Valley, you've got to get involved in the events that happen all over the Bay here. Because Ollie, I'm gonna go with Ollie. I like Ollie.
I can jump in real quick about that, but I came from Europe, and then I was here at STAK Space, and the second I stepped in here, I was like, this is a place I want to be at, basically.
Yeah.
And I had an Airbnb, and I canceled the Airbnb, and I just moved in here as soon as possible. And like Brian is saying, the networking opportunities and just the energy of the Bay, it's just unparalleled. So
yeah. I know both you guys, Jeff. You got a story too, right? You flew, immigrated, didn't you? Aren't you never? No.
I'm from Sacramento, but, basically, yeah.
You're not Le Jeffrey or anything.
No,
like that?
I'm not. I don't have a cool pronunciation like my guy here, just Jeff. But yeah, no, I joined STAK. I'd worked in real estate marketing for a number of companies.
Lean into that microphone. We're going to teach you how to.
Yeah, I got to get closer to the microphone.
Yeah.
Sorry, but this campus here really drew me in. Everything that we're kind of building, and still a lot of work to do here. But it's exciting to see these spaces come to life.
And Jeff's humble. He's really good at marketing. So those of you guys who are seeing everything going on at STAK Space and STAK Ventures, it's his hard work. So appreciate you guys doing that.
A lot of people's hard work, but yeah, trying to get the word out there.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have a lot of fun doing this. Definitely going to want to close up the show. Andres got to follow up or start closing with you, but how can people connect with you?
Yeah, just find me on LinkedIn, Andres Campo. Right now, we are in a very cool mission, which is to build the first biological clock for Latinos.
Mm-hmm.
So building Humanolab, we've learned that biological clocks are tuned towards people's biology in Europe and here in North America, but not specifically to Latinos in South America. And that's the mission that we're on.
Okay. Well, I definitely, during the break, I asked you what would be a win for you today. I feel like I'm winning having this conversation with you. You've given us a lot of great stuff, but any last words in terms of what you're building, what your experience has taught you and maybe valuable to our audience? Anything, did we leave anything on the table?
I think we covered most of it. I think what I would love to I'd love to connect with people working in longevity and that are really pushing the boundary as far as what's currently the market for healthcare. So if you are doing something cool, let's connect, let's chat, and I would love to add value and also get value back. So.
I love it. All right. Well, I really appreciate you being here, man. It's been a great conversation. We'd love to have you back because it sounds like you've got a ton of insight on the startup ecosystem. But you've been a great guest. I want to thank you all for helping us out. Getting our first show. We're actually not calling this show one. We're calling this pilot program. But I think this is a great way to launch it. So thanks to everyone who's listening. Thanks to the team. And we'll be back next week and we'll keep the ball rolling. All right. Stay safe, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.